Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. I'm down here at Wynyard Station, just waiting for the train to arrive, and the train will take me one stop to the next station, which is Circular Quay. So that train's due to arrive in the next couple of minutes. So what I want to do is just kick off a book summary, a Monday morning book summary. Had a great weekend. Yesterday morning I went for my morning swim at Bondi Icebergs, did my 40 lap 2 kilometre swim, and last night I went to a concert at the Factory where we were indulged with music, a tribute to Yanis Barrios, the great, who came to Australia on a few occasions, and I remember seeing him at the Opera House many years ago. A wonderful voice, a great performer, and a legend of Greek music. So today's book summary is entitled Just Listen, and it's by an author named Mark Goulston. So let's see where this leads us. The importance of listening, the importance of being receptive is one of our human traits, and it's a very, very powerful one indeed. So the author here kicks off the book by talking to us and basically having a chat, and he suggests to us how painful it is when we are caught up in a circle where, here we go, we're on the train. So it's empty here, so I can continue my chat. He says it, and I think we've all been caught in this, you know, how exhausting it becomes when you're with somebody who just talks about themselves and their life non-stop without listening and without engaging the other person. I dare say that Jim's 5am clubs have become like that for a number of people, but it's just the medium that I'm using, where I do the talking and other people do the listening, whereas when we're face to face in person, hopefully we get to engage and chit chat and come back and forward. But what the author reminds us of is that great conversation requires reciprocation, because all of us, each and every one of us, have a need not only for speed, but a need to be heard and a need to be understood. So how do we get to that point? The author here reminds us that in order to get people to listen to us, we need to listen to them first. So a simple sort of message, a powerful sort of message, that to get heard, you need to listen first. So an important lesson for each and every one of us to keep on understanding and reminding ourselves. So what's the first formal point to come out of this book? The author tells us here that if you want to make progress on anything, on any problem, on any challenge, the first thing we need to do is to stop what we're doing and listen first. Stop what we're doing and listen first is the key message from this book, because the author here says, and it's a truth, whenever one feels a big emotion, and we go through life, we have these moments where we just feel the big emotions. Whenever we're feeling a big emotion, the last thing that we need, the absolute last thing we need in our lives, is to listen, is to get people to advise us. So if you're a friend, if you have people around you a big lesson that we can all learn and adopt and adapt into our lives is whenever somebody is sharing with you and even oversharing, that is a lesson, that is a clue, that is a signal to zip it and just listen. Because when people have strong emotion, what they need to do is that they need to share it and be heard, and for people to empathise with them rather than to try and advise them and to tell them what to do. Because what happens technically is that when others have big emotions, it means that they're processing it in a part of their brain called the mammalian part of the brain. And listening gives them the space that they need to start thinking about what their challenges are, and they can start to think it through and engage rational thinking. Because when you're able to think it through, when you have a problem which has a big feeling attached to it, what you need to do is to have people allow you to think it through, and to be able to think it through means that you need to talk it through, and other people need to listen it through. So it gives you an opportunity and time to dispute those irrational feelings where necessary. So once again, the big lesson from this book, from this author, is stop and listen. Stop and listen, and just zip it. Don't spend time trying to rationalise and tell other people what to do, because by telling them what to do, they will shut down and they won't be able to analyse and process their own feelings, and they will be left with the problem and left unsatisfied, I guess is the best way of putting it. So to listen and to be receptive, we need the rational part of our brains to be active, the neocortex. And the author here reminds us physiologically how humans are made up. And he informs us that there are 3 layers of thinking. We've got the instinctive layer, the first layer, the basic layer, which comes from the oldest part of our brain called the reptilian brain. And that's where we have our instinctive responses, or more, should I say, not responses, our instinctive reactions. It's where we freeze, fight, or flight. We've got the 3 outcomes. And usually people freeze first to assess what's happening, and then quickly, very, very quickly decide, do I fight back or do I flee? And it's a very, very quick, instant reaction, and it happens before much analysis takes place. So that's the first layer of our thinking. The second layer is called the mammalian part of our brain, and it runs our emotions, our big, big emotions. And the big, big emotions that we feel and we express, and that can cause us grief as well as immense happiness, are love, anger and sadness. And that happens at the second layer. So whenever people have big emotions, or you feel big emotions, you must understand that technically and biologically what's happening below the surface is that you've engaged the mammalian part of your brain. And the last layer is called the rational layer, and it's the last layer that's engaged, and it's the most evolved part of your brain. It's the neocortex, or the new brain. And what it does is it takes data. It takes all the data and evidence from your reptilian and mammalian brains, and what it does is it analyses it, it rationalises that input, and comes up with conclusions that require your action. So technically, the author is able to inform us what happens with your thinking and why you think and why you act and why we behave in certain ways, and why people are very, very predictable, I guess, is the next point we need to think about. Now, we become quite predictable because the various parts of our brains are engaged, and each part has a certain trait or a certain way of dealing with things. Okay, we're through the turnstiles, and what we'll do is we'll go to the eastern part of Circular Quay today, just for something different. I'm starting work a little bit later, so there's an opportunity to just move around and do a few different things. Actually, because it looks like it's going to be a good sunrise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the western part and go around and see the sun rising behind the Opera House. You don't get too many opportunities to see a magical sunrise, and I think today could be one of those days. So what else can we take from this book that this author is telling us? And he says that you need to make sure that the person you are talking to is operating at the rational layer. So you need to help them, guide them, move them along the mental processing or the thinking layers, get them out of the fight or flight or freeze, get them to feel those big emotions, get them to express those big emotions, and get them to talk through those big emotions, because by talking it through, as we said before, by talking through those big emotions, people get a chance to think about what they're talking about, they get to reflect on it, they get to live that emotion, and then they get an opportunity to rationalize what they're thinking, if they've got the right questioning, if they've got the right partnering, if they've got somebody listening to them and not pushing them back into the fight or flight, but helping them step through and get around those big emotions. So it's important to have those big emotions. It's important to fully express those big emotions. And most importantly of all, we've learnt in life, it's important not to repress those big emotions and just let them come to the surface, percolate up, and then you can deal with them in a productive and an empowering way. So the author here reminds us to listen and address how they feel, and this will help them step through and express their emotions, and they're able to settle and come up with a conclusion and a solution. The last formal point to come out of this book, let me get under the light here so I can see what I've written down on the bus on the way in this morning, is the importance of vulnerability, of being vulnerable and acting vulnerable, because when you open up and you're vulnerable to others, what it does is it allows them to want to listen to you, it allows them to want to connect with you, and it gives you a channel to communicate and to get an outcome. So whenever possible, not always, and you've got to be very, very selective with who you do this with and how you do it, because not everybody has your best interest at heart. Not everybody has the time nor inclination to want to listen and to want to help, but there are certain close people in our families and our friends which want to assist. So show your vulnerable side and give others a chance to connect with you. And it's called empathy. So others will feel for you. And what will happen is that your expression of vulnerability will allow this connection to take place. So the key message to come from this author is that it's important to open up and be honest, and don't fear being vulnerable, but being vulnerable with the right people. Your close friends, your close family, people who understand you, and people who get you. Because by being vulnerable, as we said, we connect, and by being vulnerable, we allow other people to listen to us. And it's important, as we said, to be with people who want to listen to you, to be with people who want to help you, and not people who want to browbeat you and tell you what you're doing and give you the bullshit, I told you so, and you never listen to me, and blah, blah, blah. Because as we said, when people are feeling big emotions, they don't want people to be telling them what to do. They need to step through it themselves, deal with it, understand it, and come up with their own solutions. So thank you very much once again for joining me on this beautiful Monday morning. The breeze is a gentle westerly breeze. The flags are fully unfurled on top of the harbour bridge. It's the Monday, it's the beginning of the work week. It's a cloudless sky, it's a clear sky. So I'm going to go around to up to the harbour bridge now to see if we can get a sneak peek of a beautiful Sydney sunrise. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable. And let's take some points. Let's take some valuable points from this book that we did this morning, entitled Just Listen by Mark Goulston, and learn the importance of zipping it and allowing people around us to express themselves, to express their big emotions, and to be partners in their growth and development and partners in their solutions. Because by sitting and listening to people who have challenges, who have problems, you're connecting with their humanity, and you're allowing them to step through it, to understand their challenges, and to basically rationalize and figure out themselves. Because we can all figure things out. We don't need people to figure it out for us, but what we do need is we need a sounding board to allow us to express those big emotions. And then once we talk about it, once we express our vulnerability, then we're in a position to make our own decisions. Because at the end of the day, it's our life. We're responsible and accountable for our life. So we also need to be accountable and responsible for our challenges and our issues. So take care. Let's make this the best week ever. I went to a wonderful concert last night, a tribute to Yanis Barrios at the Factory Theatre. There was a lot of people that I saw there, a lot of friends. We sang, we enjoyed ourselves, and a very, very beautiful start to the week. So let's make the most of today. Go, mate. All good, mate. Let's make the most of what we're doing so that we can be the wind beneath our wings. I was at the beach yesterday at Bondi, and another analogy that I'm coming up with and a metaphor that I want to use is that we can also be the wave beneath our board so that we can surf the challenges and surf the opportunities that come our way. Invariably they'll come our way this week, and to be partners, as I said before, in each other's growth and development so that we can live, learn and pass it on. Yasas, take care. As you can see, the sky is starting to pink up over there on the horizon, And a bit of cloud though, there's just a little bit of cloud that's going to spoil the perfect sunrise, but it's still going to be beautiful. Yassas, Pilaki from Jim's 5am Club, and over the next month I will be hitting, God willing, I'll be hitting my 1000th blog in English. So thank you very much for all of those who have messaged me, who have given me a purpose to continue this and to continue this journey. And thank you very much. Bye for now. Have a great week. Yassas.